Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Tyler here, and today I'm going to be showing you how we can use a routing library like Svelte single page router to actually handle routing inside of Svelte applications. So typically you'd want to use something like SvelteKit for large scale projects, but if you just want a pretty robust routing solution without actually going the SvelteKit way, you can use a tool called svelte-spa-router, which is on NPM, and I'll leave it down in the description down below if you want to check out the documentation. So let's just jump right into it and actually start by installing Svelte's SPA router. So we're going to do npm install Svelte-spa-router. And once we install this inside of our project directory and make sure it's in our package.json under dependencies, we can come in here and inside of the app.svelte just imports router from svelte-spa router. There we go. So in here is our router, and this is going to be a component that we're going to be using. So what we're going to want to do is actually define our routes. So I'm going to create a variable called let routes, and I'm just going to set it equal to our routes. And what we're going to want to do is basically have a mapping of our routes. So for example, slash, we might want to go to some page. So before I end up doing that, I'm going to create some routes. I'm going to create a book.svelte. Maybe we have a book application. We're going to create a home.svelte, right? And I'll also create an about.svelte. And lastly, I'm going to create a 404.svelte, right? Or like a not found. We'll just call it not.svelte. Okay, there we go. So inside of here, for the slash route, we're going to want to go to our home page. So I'm just going to do home, and Visual Studio Code auto-completed it for me. Perfect. So we have a home routes. We're going to import a slash maybe about page, right? That's a page we might want to go to. So we'll import the about route. Next, we might want to go to a specific book page where we pass in parameters. So like slash book slash and then like an ID or like a book ID. So to do that, we'll go to the book page. Again, we're going to import all of that. And then lastly, let's create a not found page. And this always has to be at the end for Svelte applications, but basically it's a way to catch the, say we can't find any of these pages or we spell something wrong, we can go to this page. So it's just the asterisks, and then we can put in a page. I'm just going to put in not found. So in here we have a mapping between pages and their corresponding components. And then down in the script down here, we can put this all in a main component. So I'm just going to do router. And in here, it takes in a props of routes it expects. So we're just going to do this and pass in the routes. Now, if I open up the terminal and actually run this, what we should see, npm run dev. There we go. Okay, so other than a completely blank, open on the wrong screen, other than a completely blank application, what we should be able to do is go to #/about and not get any errors or anything like that. Now, you may be wondering why I put the hashtag. Well, it's because in routing applications, there's different ways of doing routing. For single page apps, we're going to be using a hash router, which means we put a hash and then our path. Because if we just go to /about, that doesn't exist. It's going to try to go to localhost /about. We want to make sure we stay on this page and go to /about. And if we, so let's actually fill these up so we can see that we're actually going to an about page. So in here, I'll just put in about page. For the book page, what we're going to want to do is, I'm just going to say, this is the book page. And actually get access to that ID. So we might want to be like ID is equal to, and for now, I'm just going to put in 0, but I'll show you how we can get that in a second. Next, for the home page, we might want to have something that says home page. And the not found page, just say page not found. There we go. So now when we go back, we should be able to see all of our pages. Oh, I'm going to the wrong tab. There we go. So /about, / a whole bunch of stuff. We go to page not found. If we just go to /, we go to home page. And if we go to /book, say a couple of numbers, we go here. So that works perfectly. One thing I'm going to do to make this quick and easy to use and see what's going on is I'm just going to create a navigation and put in an href. And remember, we have to do /#/, or you could just do #/, whatever you like doing. So for #/, we're going to just say home. Did not copy it all. There we go. For /about, we'll go to the about page. For /book, we will go to the book page. And in here, I'm just going to pass in, actually, we won't even have that really, I guess. Okay, so there we go. We right now have a navigation bar so we can quickly go between these pages. So we can go to home, about, home, and if we go to a page that doesn't exist, it still works, and we go to page not found. Now, how do we get access to whatever page we're on? Like, say we're on the book page and we want to know what parameters are put in here, right? How would we go about doing that? Well, one thing we can do is actually, inside the book page, open up a scripts tag. And in here, I'm just going to type in lang ts for TypeScript. And what we want to basically do is have our parameters passed down as props. So we're going to do exports, let's params, and we're just going to pass them in blank by default. And then to actually get the page, we can just do params. So if we just do this and look, what we see is if we just go to /, there's obviously not going to be any params, but then /book / let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, what you see is it's object. Okay. Now, let's actually console.log this object. So we can do console.log params. And let's see what we get back. So if I go back and we open this up, in here we could see we have the parameter of ID. So that's perfect. We're able to get the parameter, and that means all we have to do is do params.id, and it'll actually show the ID of the page that we go to. If we go to, 2, then we would be able to in here say query some sort of database or API and get that specific ID. Now, let's say we want to have a button, right? Of course, I'm using TypeScript, so it doesn't register that there's a type of ID in here. But let's say we're using, we want to have a button down here that goes to a specific page. Like we want to have a back button, right? Which goes backwards. And here we'll just have a button that says go home. So how can we do this programmatically? So we could obviously just put a href in here and do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show a different way you can navigate through svelte-spa-router. So I'm going to click, on click, what we're going to want to do is call a function called go home, right? So I'm going to come in here and create that function. Okay, so when we click on this go home button, it's going to go to the home page. And you may be like, okay, how do we end up doing that? How do we go backwards and all of that kind of stuff, right? So to do that, we actually had to import from svelte-spa-router the different commands. So there's push, there's pop, and there's replace. And if we do that, we can do from SPA-router. There we go. So we can import push, pop, replace, and push. So replace basically replaces the current page, but it doesn't modify the history. Push navigates to a page, and pop goes backwards. So all we had to do for this go home function is just call pop, right? So we can just do pop, and that will go backwards in a page. Lastly, if we want to, I'm also just gonna say that this is fine. Yeah, so we don't, I think we're fine. I'll just say this is a language of JavaScript so we don't get yelled at. Okay, so to go backwards, we can click this go home button. Oh, this should be go back, sorry. And go back. There we go. And say go. There we go. A little scuffed, but okay, there we go. So we can go home, right? We can go to the about page. Let's say we want to go back to our book page, right? We can then click here and click book. And what you'll see is this goes back. And we can click forward, backward, and it'll remember our history. If we were to instead say push, right? And then do slash, like, you know, about instead. And this was like, you know, go about. This is a programmatically correct way of going to about. So we can click here and we go to the about page. So if you found this video useful, please like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.